Now open, The Warehouse, a social club that gives back to our local veterans, fire, and police. The food is fantastic, not the usual bar food. And the drinks, well, what can I say? With all-day happy hour, full bar, specialty drinks, and yes, beer. With karaoke, pool, and entertainment, you'll find your community at The Warehouse, conveniently located in downtown Leesburg, Florida.
Hello and welcome to Central Florida Salute. I'm your host, Bob Peters, and I'm at Eagles Area 4273 with Captain Pete Peterson, who is a United States Navy SEAL, retired, and I'm honored to have you here. And we're going to talk about your career and then a movie that you're in. But I met you through the Angel Flight. Remember that day?
I do. We were golfing.
Yeah.
Yes.
We did a show for Angel Flight, and somebody said, "Oh, you got to see that guy out there. He's a highly decorated Navy SEAL, and it's an honor to have you here, sir." Now, the big question is, how good is your golf game?
I can average around bogey.
Wow. Everybody can beat me. Anyway, welcome to the area, and welcome to Central Florida Salute. I understand. Tell me about a little bit when you were born. You were born in Pennsylvania, correct?
Western Pennsylvania. That's right.
And Slippery Rock College.
My family was from around Slippery Rock. I kind of think it's an interesting story. My mother's people, I grew up around them, and they were a group of Scots-Irish country people. Their ancestry fought in the Revolutionary War on the winning side, and my father and all my uncles went to the Second World War.
Wow.
They kept up the tradition of fighting for the country, and so I grew up in a family and a Scots-Irish clan that fought for the nation.
Why the Navy?
I had two uncles who were in the Navy, both at Pearl Harbor, and they both survived. And so I knew them well, and I just liked the idea of the Navy.
You also, I see here something about you were with the signed to the CIA.
Well, that was one of my early and first jobs in the SEAL team. That was during the days when President Kennedy was opposed to Castro, and it was a program to try to overthrow Castro. So I spent a year down here in southern Florida training Cuban refugees in the skills of naval commandos and naval combat swimmers, so that the CIA could use them to attack Castro.
Oh, that'd be interesting.
It was, yes.
Yeah. So then you wound up overseas in a little place called Vietnam, eh?
Yeah, I went right from that job in Miami. I almost went straight to Vietnam to the Special Operations Group there. And that was my first job in 64 and 65 in Vietnam.
Yeah.
It was a program to use Vietnamese to attack North Vietnam, to try to do the same thing they were doing to us in South Vietnam. So we trained and equipped and planned for them to run operations, naval operations up on the coast of North Vietnam. We didn't go with them, they did the operations, but we did all the planning, preparation, training, and funding and equipping of those operations.
Wow. So, but you did several tours in Vietnam, right?
Yeah, that was my first tour. Then I went back later in a combat tour with SEAL Team 2 down the Mekong Delta.
Yeah, we hear a lot on TV about SEAL Team 6, but back when you started there, you said there was only 2, is that correct?
Yeah, on the West Coast was SEAL Team 1, and on the East Coast was SEAL Team 2. SEAL Team 1 led the way into operations in Vietnam, and we followed about a year later in direct combat operations in the South, trying to interdict the Viet Cong use of the waterways and to support the naval riverine forces who were working in the riverine area.
Mm-hmm. You also received a Silver Star, I see.
Yes, I did. I was, it was an honor to receive that, but the operation that it resulted from, I was able to get my guys out of a very difficult situation, get them out of that alive, and every time they pat me on the back and thank me for that, it's a lot better than that.
Yeah, well, being part of a team, and that's what it is,
Sure.
in service. You're all part of a team. You had a lot of other things I'm looking at. Maritime planes officers. Take me through your career a little bit. All the different places you were, if you can do it.
Sure. Well, so I started in the early days as a youngster in the SEAL teams, and really focused my whole early career on Vietnam because that's what we were doing. So I started out as a youngster as a lieutenant junior grade, and finished out as a commander in '75, having done just about everything a SEAL could do relative to Vietnam. I'd been executive officer, commanding officer, had done all those career ascension jobs in the SEALs. But surprising maybe to now, as you see what SEALs are doing all over the world, in those days at the end of the Vietnam War, the Navy wasn't sure the value of SEALs.
Really?
And so I wasn't certain I had a career. I was halfway through a Navy career, and the certainty of a career was pretty shaky. You wasn't at all certain that there'd be a career. And I had an opportunity to go to graduate school and study naval intelligence and international relations. So I took that opportunity so I could branch out my career if I needed to. And so that led me to do a number of intelligence and political military jobs for the second half of my career.
Well, you had an interesting career, my friend.
It was. I kind of regret that I wasn't able to stay in special warfare and SEALs, but I was able to do some things that were interesting and rewarding in the other area.
Mm-hmm. So you were with the SEAL team, then you went other places.
Right.
And, yeah.
I was able to get a full 30 years and get promoted, so that was
30
ended up being a
years.
good,
Thank
good
goodness.
career.
Yeah. I imagine you traveled quite a bit.
Yes, and in that latter half of my career, I was able to take my family with me. We went from the U.S. to Israel to India to Chile, and so I had an opportunity to be in those places and see another country and work in what in many cases were important things to do.
I'm sure. Yeah. You're also you got some photographs there. What's this first one here?
Well, maybe the first one is me and the guys, that I fought with in Vietnam. A picture of those guys. May not, the glass come out very well, but.
Well, we have a camera person here who's really talented, and she'll make it look good, Pete.
Yeah.
So
So we're in the Mekong Delta there, in a riverboat base, and those are the greatest guys in the world.
those river boats are something else. I've heard of them. I wasn't around with them, but I knew a few guys.
Yeah, they were doing their best in the riverine area to stop the Viet Cong from using those waterways to move their supplies and move their troops. They were doing a great job.
And the other photo you have.
Well, that was later. I'm there now as a commander, as a naval attaché with the other people in the U.S. Embassy in Tel Aviv. A whole change of types of role and types of activity, but
There's a handsome guy way over here, the tall guy. Do you know him?
I don't know who that guy is. I lost him a while ago, but
Yeah. Well, I tell you, it had to be interesting meeting all these people and, the bond that you created with your SEAL team and laying the foundation. But I met you, like I said, on the golf course, and they said, you got to meet that guy. So I said, and then I heard about this, a Bond Unbroken.
yes.
And you want to tell people a little bit about, it's a movie now, and we're going to put a link to it so people want to see it.
Great.
Yeah. And tell us about it and how did it all come about.
Well, maybe the story starts with this group of guys in Vietnam in 1967. We were some of the early guys in Vietnam, and we're learning our trade still. We weren't fully equipped the way the guys are today, or fully supported, and we're still trying to learn how to operate in Vietnam. Our skills were pretty good. We didn't understand Vietnam. We couldn't tell the good guys from the bad guys.
A whole different world, wasn't it?
I think everybody tells that story that it was just a maze of Asian people, and you couldn't tell who was who. But in that process, we found a guy named Min who spoke decent English. He was from that area, and he could tell the bad guys from the good guys. He could say those folks are fishermen, those guys are farmers, and those guys are bad guys. And he was courageous. He went right on our operations with us and would help us interrogate people in the field. He could just understand the situation we were in much better than we could. He could read the circumstances, read the people. And so he started working for us in '67. And every SEAL platoon that came into this area in Vietnam, he worked with until 1972.
Wow.
And in '72, who knew that in 2 or 3 years things would turn upside down? We didn't know. So men got left there and had to go through the whole re-education thing, pushed down to the bottom of the ladder, oppressed by the communists. We were fortunate enough in the early, like in 2011, to find him still alive, and do everything we could for him. We couldn't get him to immigrate. We couldn't get a visa to bring him to the States. We brought him as a tourist. Thanked him for everything he'd done for us, and then back in Vietnam, built him a house, and we're sending his grandchildren to college.
Wow, that's special. Yeah, I did see the movie, and he had that smile, didn't he?
Yeah.
Yeah. But anyway, like you said, the way things turned around, you had to leave, and he got kind of left behind. A lot of them who got left behind were either killed or re-educated, is what they called, but actually they put him in prison, is what it is. But he was a tough guy. He didn't give in, from what I saw in the movie.
No, they didn't break me in.
No, they didn't break him. Yeah. So you went back, but you didn't go alone. Who all went with you?
Well, the movie makers and another guy, a wonderful guy named Rick Bullard, who's also a former SEAL, who worked with men. In fact, the story is that I found men. He started working with my guys, and the last guys that worked with him were with Rick. And Rick did a lot in the program to help men. So we both went back and saw him in his home and helped him back there personally.
Yeah, I'll tell you, it's a great movie.
Yeah.
It's really kind of moving, and it was kind of nice to see, and how happy he was with But yeah, and so I encourage people to watch it.
Yeah, I think that little clip with him looking at the wall in Vietnam, that caps the whole thing.
Yeah. So you guys found him, and you kept in touch until he passed. The good
right.
Lord called him up.
Yeah, we send him money every month to make sure he was living as well as he could.
So, any particular memories of your service that you would like to share?
Well, I'd like to tell you about some of the guys and what they were like in those days.
And I want to hear. Yeah.
During these days when I was with the SEALs in the northern part of the Mekong Delta, my boss was a guy named Jake, and he was down in the central area. He was an older SEAL, been an enlisted guy, good old country boy. And he'd come and operate with us on occasion, make sure we were doing all right, but he couldn't get to us all the time. So he'd call me on the phone every couple of weeks, and we'd have a discussion. Those are open phone lines, so he couldn't talk a lot, but he's a good old country. So Pete, how y'all doing down there? And the guy's okay. Y'all need something, and we'd go through that whole thing. And if we needed something, he'd take care of us. And I got that call one morning. We went through the same litany. He said, "How y'all doing? You need something? Guys all okay?" And he said, "Yes, Jake, we're doing fine. Thank you. Everything's good. We don't need anything right now." He said, Hey, by the way, do y'all have that chewing tobacco I like, that red man there in your PX? I said, "Well, I think we do, Jake." I said, "What are y'all out of it down there?" He said, "No." He says, "No, but I need some." He says, "Well, I'll get it for you." He says, "How am I getting it to you?" He says, "Don't worry." He says, "I'm right up the river here. I got shot last night in the hospital up here."
Oh.
And he was shot, seriously. He wasn't just shot, he was shot.
Yeah.
He goes through that whole thing, and then went to chewing tobacco.
But he got his tobacco.
He did, right up there.
Yeah. So you keep in obviously you keep in touch with some of these
Oh, I
guys.
do, yeah.
You have like reunions and all that.
Yeah, every year there's gatherings in the East Coast and the West Coast, and at the museum down at Fort Pierce, and you get there so you can see your friends. Those are the guys.
That's the SEAL Museum, right?
It is.
Yeah.
It's a good facility. It's the National SEAL Museum. It's in Fort Pierce, where the guys who went on to Normandy landed for the landing. That's where they trained.
Oh, yeah?
So it's got some. That's why we choose that as a place where, you know, the guys who have passed on, if their families want their ashes returned to the sea, we swim them out there.
That's great.
Now, I guess I'd tell you about another guy whose picture's in there, and
Okay.
he was in the film, a guy named Ron.
Yeah.
And in these days, Ron came to me about halfway through my time there as my assistant. My other assistant had get medevaced, and right after, now Ron wasn't brand new. He'd been in Vietnam, he'd been in combat, but he was new to me. But the day he got there, I had an operation plan, and it was something that was going to be a little tricky. And it required Ron to be in the same area as me, but leading another squad. And he got into it, you know, in the middle of the night, in the middle of a really tough area. He got into a really serious dust stop, he and his guys, and they got shot up and had to fight their way to an extraction point. And Ron got wounded, and he was a medevac right out of the country. He went to Japan to get well, and our careers diverged a little bit, and I didn't see him for a long time. When I finally did see him, we caught up with each other a little bit, and I said to him, Ron, I said, I always felt bad for getting you overexposed like that in your first operation and getting you hurt. And he said, don't apologize to me. He said, that's when I became a SEAL.
Yeah. I'll tell you what, you guys are a tough breed, and we owe a lot. This country owes a lot to you guys. And I had met one other SEAL I told you about, and I can't remember his name, but I met him when I was in Connecticut. He was from Connecticut. He was quite a few years younger than us.
Yeah.
And he was one of those who rescued Jessica Lynch, that I told you about.
Yeah, it was a great operation.
Yeah, because there was, and the press went, well, that was staged and this and that. And I asked him about it. He said, those are real bullets.
Oh, no.
Those are real bullets they were firing at me, Bob. But yeah, you guys are a special breed. There's not everybody can become a SEAL, you know, and you played a very big part in this country. So.
Well, in our days, it was kind of a backwater, simple little operation, trying to do everything we could to do the job we did. Now those guys have become a real, you know, national treasure, and they're very important to us.
Yeah.
You know, I think the thing we're proud about, guys in my area, is that is we laid the foundation. We did the groundwork and started the tradition of a capable Sea Commando unit, and those guys built on that. Now they're really something.
Yeah, yeah. So this movie, A Bond Unbroken, and we talked about what it's all about. You guys, you know, going and finding that guy, that special man who was with you all that time.
Yeah.
Bob Woodruff was emceed it, or
He did, yeah. The person the producer, Marianne Koenig, found Bob, and Bob was over there and went and visited men in Vietnam, and was so taken by the whole story that he narrated the film.
did you get to meet him?
I didn't know.
No.
It was
Oh, that's too bad.
quite a different time.
Yeah. Yeah. So what where did you finish up your career? Did you go into private business afterwards? Or?
Yeah, my last serious Navy job was the defense attaché in Chile, so I knew Chile. My Spanish was pretty decent. And as I was retiring, I found that the U.S. Antarctic program supports a lot of its operations through Chile. It needed someone who knew the country and who could work down there to take care of the ships and the station that's in the part of the Antarctic just south of Chile. So I got a job with those people in that operation, and so we had a couple ice-breaking research vessels and a research station down there that I supported and took care of. So that was a nice way to finish up a working career.
You had a very interesting career, you know. Like I said, you held several positions in the military. What would you say was your best? Being with the guys?
Being the guys and fighting in Vietnam, that was the high point.
Yeah, I bet it was, you know. I mean, because I have a thing on my attaché case that says something about the price of freedom, people who never fought for it will never understand. And, you know, I think that's pretty much sums it up, because veterans, we appreciate it more than most people, I think.
Yeah, I think so. And, you know, now the guys who fought in Vietnam are held in high esteem. But in my day, you know, we weren't.
Yeah, I
We
know.
weren't my favorite guys on the block.
I know. Believe me, I
So we
know.
had to take care of ourselves, and I think they even made us closer.
I remember coming home one time and this guy chasing me down the street, and but you know, yeah, and you didn't really, you weren't too popular with the opposite sex back then. You know, they didn't really care for. They wanted hippies instead of soldiers and airmen, whatever. But you know what?
I was married during most of those days.
Oh, I was single,
Yeah.
but
I was with these guys in Vietnam when my son was born.
oh wow, that had to be tough.
Yeah.
I'll tell you. You
My
know.
wife will still teach me. She says, I was back here taking care of everything and having a kid.
Yeah, I was in hard labor, and where were you?
You were out there having fun with the boys.
Yeah, yeah. But you know, as we always say, welcome home, brother. And it's good to have you back. Yeah, but you're right, though. You know, when, times have changed, and history will show. You know, we never lost in Vietnam. We didn't ever lost the battle. We just after the Tet Offensive, they kind of the popularity with with the people kind of like ended it. You know, but
I guess my wish is that our political leaders had understood the situation better and understood Vietnam better, and maybe we could have had a better outcome. So,
yeah, I agree with you there. You know what I also say? I also say that anybody in this country, so like other countries, you got to do a couple of years in the military, and if you don't do the military, you got to do the Peace Corps. So let's make a proposal, get that out there, Bob.
yeah, I think service to the country. If you don't do that, you don't understand the country.
That's right. So now you're living happily in the villages,
Yeah.
playing golf a couple of days a week. I'd play with you, but I tell you what, I don't want you to beat me. Everybody beats me in golf. You know.
I'm just out there having a good time with my friends.
Yeah. So, anything else you'd like to say before we wrap this up?
I think that's been good, Bob. I'm glad to have this opportunity. I like to tell the story of what the SEALs were about in my day, and hope it inspires more young men to serve the country and even dream to be a Navy SEAL.
Well, let me tell you, you're a hero in my eyes, brother.
Well, thank you.
And I know a lot of vets. I've been in this business for a long time, and I know a hero when I see one.
Well,
So, and I thank you for coming on.
I know some real heroes, so
Yeah.
I know what they look like.
Yeah. Well, you served with them. That's right. Yeah. Yeah. So, well, I want to thank you for coming. Is there anything else you'd like to talk about before we go?
No, I think that's my story, Bob. Thank you.
Yeah, and I'm going to encourage people to watch that, A Bond Unbroken.
Yeah.
And it really, especially veterans, they'll really enjoy it, because it's a special thing when you had that bond with those guys and me, and all those years later going back and finding them. That had to be a really heart-moving, and it's a great movie. It's a great movie.
Thank you.
So I do have a way of saying goodbye. You've seen a couple of our shows, right?
I don't remember the goodbye.
Well, it goes like this. Okay, to all our veterans out there, active military and their families, we salute you for all you do. Till next time.
Thank you.
Thank you.